to another fabulous episode of Lab Rats at labrats.tv. My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And today on the show, we are not going to do anything on Windows. We're going to do nothing on the Mac. What are we doing?
Well, we're going to do Linux today. Yeah, people have been asking us about Linux, so we thought we'd do a little bit... Stop that. Sorry, stop that. Family show.
That's right.
Not anymore, I guess. We've had requests to look at Linux, so...
Linux is supposed to be fabulous, right? It's like the next generation. People keep saying to me, Linux, forget Mac, forget Windows. My grandma should be using Linux.
Yeah, I think if you remember our pal Mike Laz from Call for Help and
Yes.
Command and Fame, he actually said that he was going to install Linux on his mom's computer. It's just one of those Taster's Choice things or folders. We replaced Mikey's mom's computer with a copy of Linux. Let's see what happens.
Did he?
Actually, no, I think he chickened out.
I bet he did. I think his mother would have killed him.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case. But we'll go into a little bit of those details a little bit later on.
All right. Let's take a break, and when we come back, the whole world of Linux and Ubuntu. Well, if you're wondering, before we get into Linux and Ubuntu, if you've been wondering where this stain came from,
Where did that stain come from, Andy?
What?
I shudder to ask.
I think we should get Swiss Chalet, the chicken people up here in Canada, as sponsors, because I get some chicken sauce on me.
There we go. Now you'll know. Go shop Swiss Chalet and you'll get some stains on your shirt too.
There you go. All right, so tell me about Ubuntu.
Well, we're gonna
This
talk
is an
about-
African technology.
Yes, it is actually. Ubuntu is one of the forms of Linux. Let's talk about back up and talk about Linux in general.
Okay, which is a Finnish technology.
It's a Finnish technology, Linus Torvalds, and there's a bit of a debate whether it's Linux or Linux. And people say it's Linus Torvalds or Linus Torvalds. Okay, what's your answer?
I met Linus Torvalds
Yes.
in Atlanta.
Yes.
And I said, hi, Mr. Torvalds, can I interview you? And he said, yeah, absolutely, you can call me Linus.
Linus.
So it's Linux.
Linux.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure there'll still be debate as to how you say it. I mean, so many people say Linux or, other variations of the same thing, but we'll say Linux for the rest of this.
So Linux. and what is Linux?
Linux is based on an old operating system that was on mainframes called Unix. And Linux was, Linus thought when he was looking for an operating system, I'd love to use that, but I can't use that specifically. So he rewrote the whole thing from scratch, basically to do all the same things. And he collaborated with a bunch of other programmers out there to make sure, again, open source so that anyone can look at the code. Yeah. And not only can anyone work on the code, anyone can spot the errors and say, hey, there's an error in that code there, there's a vulnerability, and here's the fix. That's right. So very open source. So it's one of the most secure operating systems around because of that. Now, let's not say that it is completely secure. Like any operating system, there are bugs, and there's always bugs and new vulnerabilities being found. Right. But just because there's a huge community of open source programmers behind Linux, anything that is found is generally fixed very quickly.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's and the other thing, of course, because it's open source, nobody can hide any code inside it that may be malicious or whatever. So that's one of the wonderful things. So Ubuntu is a variation. It's a Linux distribution, isn't it? Right.
There's a few different sort of branches of the whole Linux tree, and it went to Debian, and it went to Slackware, Red Hat, Fedora Core. So it just sort of branched out, and that's one of the things about Linux is it's like Windows. You don't say which version of Windows are you running.
Yes, you do. You say Vista Basic, Vista Home Premium, Vista Ultimate.
Yeah, well, you have a few of those, but generally it's sort of built up. There's a limited features in one. The other one has all of the features.
Right. But it's all made by one company, right?
Right. So. And these ones sort of have branched out. So you've got into this thing. So you've got people that are into the Linux community who have gone beyond, are you into Windows or are you into Mac? And now they're into, oh, I'm into Linux. Great. Which version? Well, I'm into Debian. Heretic!
Yes.
It's just always something to argue about.
Debian's for nerds, man. I don't like Debian at all. I like the Red Hat distribution.
Right, but one of the nice things is that you can actually take any distribution of that and build your own. You got to leave the source code open, but you can sort of branch off from one of those sub-branches.
So
as
we could
well,
do like
if
the
you prefer.
Labratzian version of Linux if we decided to.
Right. If we wanted to.
Then we should do that.
Okay.
not?
Sure.
Okay, so tell me, so now I'm going to go ahead and install this thing on my machine, just like that.
Not quite like
Let's
that.
do it. Let's get it on the machine. I want to
Yeah.
see it working.
We'll do that in a little bit. I've got it, a version of it on here. One of the nice things about Linux is because they've got such a wide community of people working on the software, is they have compatibility for a number of different platforms. So it's not just the IBM PC or the 386 or the Core 2 or whatever. You can actually get it onto the Mac with PowerPC. You can get it onto other, operating systems, or not operating systems, other hardware platforms that have different processors. So people have programmed it so that it can go onto a wide variety, and it's one of the widest possible.
So it can go on the x86 platform, no problem.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course the new Core 2 architecture. I'm gathering you can install it on Mac too.
You can install it on a Mac. This one is running a Core 2, so that's why it works on this one.
Is it as pretty as the Mac? With the little pixels?
It's sort of getting there, I think.
Is it?
But yeah, that's the thing, is things have to be written for it, for a particular platform. So to get it to work on this processor, someone has to actually compile it for that processor. And same thing with drivers. The drivers are an open source initiative. So if you've got a graphics card, you've got the CD drive, all of the things inside your computer that need drivers on a Windows machine also need drivers on Linux.
Sure.
And,
can we see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
I want to see it.
So we'll get to this right now because apparently my friend Andy has no patience.
Now, I already use Linux, I'll have you know.
You do? What,
I do.
What are you running?
I use the TiVo distribution.
The TiVo distribution.
Yeah, I do.
And that's a very interesting point because Linux is so flexible and will work on such a wide variety of operating systems. You can put it into very specialized devices and strip back all the pieces of Linux that you aren't going to need for that device and just run a small subset of that.
Right. So so TiVo, the PVR, my favorite thing in the whole world, it has a Unix backend, which is really fabulous.
A lot of other PVRs will have that as well. And same thing as, for some phones and PDAs, it'll work on a huge variety. So in this case, we've got Kubuntu running, and this is...
Kubuntu?
Kubuntu is one of the variations of Ubuntu.
Oh, wait a second. Okay, operating systems, a Linux is an operating system, then there's a distribution there, and Ubuntu is one of the distributions, and there's a variation of the Ubuntu distribution, which is called Kubuntu?
Right.
And Ubuntu?
And now this breaks down. I mean, this is why it's so confusing at this point, is not only do you have distributions, you also have desktops. So you've got it split into two major ones right now, KDE and GNOME.
Oh, really?
And GNOME is based on the GNU project, I believe, and KDE is a different one.
Different GUIs.
So, different GUIs, different ways of interacting with the environment. And again, now that you've decided I'm with Ubuntu, or I'm with Kubuntu, or you're with Debian, you get decide which of these desktops you're going to use on that. So there's so many different paths you can go down, and it's just, I liken Linux to running a hot rod at home. When you've got it working, it'll work really well, but you can tinker with it a lot, get it to work better, and then, hey, guess what? You're going to break it doing something, so you start again and work on it, fix it up. You just learn a whole lot about the operating system, tweaking with this and trying out all the options.
And you can paint it different colors, you can change the seats and all kinds of stuff.
Sure. So
I'm working with you here. I'm working with you.
Yeah, so there's a whole lot of different things you can do with that. Now we've got a version, a very bare desktop here.
This is it.
This is Kubuntu.
Kubuntu running on a Mac.
Right.
And on a MacBook.
On a MacBook.
Okay. With the PC processor? I mean the Intel processor?
Right. So it'll work like this on virtually any Windows PC. So it'll look like this. Like a Windows machine, it has the start menu in the bottom.
Are you recording this?
I'm recording this.
Oh, good.
I hope I'm recording this. So we've got the start menu in the bottom. You click on the K, and you can have all of the same. It's very Windows-like if you look at this.
Oh, I like it.
So you've got graphics. You can go into painting and image editing. You can download a number of programs that are out there. There's a ton of free software out there. Finding it is maybe a bit of a challenge sometimes, but it is all out there. Internet, when you want to...
No, wait a second, though, but do I have to go out and buy this at the store?
No, you actually can download most of these for free.
For free?
Right. There's some commercial versions that you have to buy, but you get support with them and you get the booklet and all of that sort of thing. But most of the versions of the Linux operating system you can just download. There's a great site out there called distrowatch.com that sort of lists all the variations, what processors they run on, all of that sort of stuff. So you can have a general idea of what you want going into it, and it'll help you find it as well, help you find the type of Linux that you're looking for and want to run.
Cool.
So the biggest strike against Linux for the longest time was that it was very hard to use and there was nothing on it. And if you wanted to install something, you would have to, first of all, figure out what package you wanted to install, like figure out what software, then get all of the dependency programs that that program needed to run, because they weren't necessarily all on the system yet, get the dependent programs for that, and so on and so on, until you finally had everything.
Then you had the source, and then you had to compile it specifically for the platform, right?
And then you might have to compile it. Yeah.
Wow. So definitely not, back then, not grandma friendly.
Definitely not at all.
Okay, now today, is it grandma friendly?
Well, like the one nice thing about it...
Can my Nana install this?
She might be able to install it.
She's very clever.
The good news is that when you get a version of this like Ubuntu, or you can get SUSE, or one of the other popular ones like Red Hat, it comes with a ton of software on here. And you can see we've got Bluetooth chat, Konqueror is a web browser, we've got an instant messaging client, we've got remote desktop and desktop sharing, a BitTorrent client is built right in. We've got multimedia, so we've got a CD player and a DVD burning software.
Right.
Now, one of the things that's still a big problem with Linux is DVD playback. Now, there was a huge stink a few years back.
DVD playback, okay, so playing movies.
Yeah, someone actually went out and reverse engineered DVD called DECSS, I believe.
Yep.
And they actually...
That was DVD John he was another Scandinavian.
And they got into a lot of trouble for doing that because royalties have to be paid. We talked about codecs a number of episodes back. You have to pay money to this group for that, and he didn't. So if you want to do it, you have to put that in separately. Now, you can buy that, or apparently Gary says he won as well.
He won what?
He won the case, I guess.
Oh, okay. You can speak. Yes.
This is an interactive show, Gary.
That's right.
So, but yeah, still, in general, you have to build that in after the fact and find the source and put it in. So it's not necessarily 100% friendly yet, but it does come with a lot of stuff that you can actually go with, and you can get open source word processor, you can get open source paint programs, paint photo editing, all of that stuff, and it understands a whole wide variety of devices. You put a thumb drive in the side, it'll understand what that is and know how to use it.
All right, fabulous. So should we take a break and wrap up, or do you want to keep going?
We'll take a break. The one thing I just want to say is it has come a long way. Now, would I give this to my mom to install on her machine? Would I want to support this from across the country? No, I wouldn't want to do that still. But it has come a long way, and I think for an enthusiast who wants to play with an operating system and learn about Linux, it is definitely at that point where you're not going to be worried that you're going to break it completely just by pressing the wrong thing.
It's not for super geeks anymore, it's just for geeks.
It's for geeks.
All right, well, on that note, let's take another break, and we'll be right back.
It's Camtasia Studio, the fabulous screencast software from TechSmith. Record what's on your screen, narrate it, and share it online. Create demos, screencasts, training, and more. And rest assured, Camtasia Studio is made by wholesome programmers in Okemos, Michigan, the home of the hardiest geeks around.
Quick to learn, easy to use, it's Camtasia Studio.
Download your free trial and start screencasting today.
So now I get what Linux and Ubuntu is. So how do we get on the machine? What's the poop there?
Well, to get on the machine, you have to install it on the machine. One of the nice things about this is a thing called Live CD or Live DVD.
Okay.
It allows you to actually try it out before you actually commit to it. So you don't want to necessarily take your Windows machine, wipe it out, and put Linux on board.
What? So you install it and you go a quick uninstall, or what?
Yeah, what it does is it actually installs it into memory. So you put the CD in and you would boot from the CD.
Right.
And it would run Linux as if it was coming off your hard drive. It's a little bit slower, it's not quite as peppy, but it will do.
So actually it executes and actually runs off of a CD using memory, it doesn't actually go on the hard drive.
It doesn't go onto the hard drive.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
And the good ones will actually give you the option to either install or run from a live CD, or install from the live CD when you've got it up and running.
Cool.
And one of the nice things about using a live CD is if you're worried that your hardware may not be compatible, running the live CD will actually figure out what's working on that machine and what isn't before you commit to putting it on there.
Okay.
Now, one of the things you have to do, you can download ISO files, they're called, from DistroWatch. You can go there and then find the one you need.
Keep talking.
And what you need for an ISO, or what you need to do is take that ISO file and turn it into an actual functioning disk. So we've got an Ubuntu disk here, we've got a SUSE Linux Enterprise Desktop disk here. You can actually install from these, but if you don't have one of these, you can download it from the site for free, as we mentioned earlier, and burn it using your favorite software. So if you have Nero, you can generally take that ISO and burn it to a DVD or CD.
Right. So an ISO is like a disk image, right? It's like basically like a great big photocopy of something that you can actually burn to a CD or DVD.
Right. So now the trick is, if you don't have Nero or you don't have Easy CD Creator or other burning software, is turning that that file into a disk. So we have a utility here that will help you do that for free.
My favorite, CD Burner XP Pro. Very cool application, actually. You can download it. We'll put the link on the show notes. I've been using it for years and years and years. In fact, I've been using it to grab the ISOs off the internet for the Vista, because I'm writing a Vista book, right? And which is called Windows Vista Help Desk, available very soon. Anyway, so what you want to do is you want to go File, Write Disk from ISO file.
Okay, so good.
And then I'm going to choose the ISO file, which we've downloaded from the internet.
Right, so it's on the desktop. So
click there.
Here we go, Ubuntu 6.10.
6.10 desktop.
Open it.
And write disk.
Write disk. So there we go. So if we had a writable disk in there, we could actually burn that there, and it's everything we need to get started with Linux.
Right, absolutely, that's very cool. Okay, so then we just use it as a regular install disk.
Right, and we can use it as an install disk. We can use it as a live CD to try it out, whatever you want to do.
Right, okay.
Okay, so we'll have you save that so we can get onto the live CD.
Okay.
We're going to do a little demonstration of this, but
We're actually going to do it live.
we're going to do it live. But while we're waiting for that to save out, we'll just go to our photograph.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we've asked you to send photographs to put on the big screen here, and we'd encourage you to still do that at feedback@liverats.tv. Don't make it too large. We don't really need much more than 100K to make it look good on the screen.
Absolutely, okay.
So keep them small. And here's one of the photographs. This is from Aaron, and how do you pronounce it, Gary? Worcester?
Worcester.
Worcester. Okay.
Worcester, UK.
Worcester, UK.
Like the sauce.
Right. So,
Right.
so Aaron, we got this a couple of weeks back. Sorry we didn't get it on up until now, but here we go. So, and again, if you want to send it to feedback@liverats.tv, and we'll get your picture right up on the
This
screen.
is episode what, 54?
This is episode 55.
All right.
I
We're
believe.
using Camtasia Studio 4 here to actually record this studio. That's a free plug for you guys at TechSmith. Hang on. Save. There you go.
There we go. So that was
Save.
nice and fast.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do some post-processing on that a little bit later. So now what we're going to try to do here is we'll move Biff's toes out of the way and put the Ubuntu disk into here.
Okay. Close
And
everything out.
so now what we need to do to make this work, and Ryan, we can have you come in and shoot the screen now. So we've got Windows running on this desktop right now. It's Windows XP. So Andy's
Restart.
just going to restart. It's going to go through the usual post process, figuring out what the hardware is and all that good stuff.
Should we introduce Ryan while it's rebooting?
Yeah, this is Ryan over here.
His last name, Rasmussen.
Rasmussen.
Another Scandinavian, no?
Danish.
Danish. There you go. See, yes.
Can't even remember my own.
That's right. All right, so rebooting here now. I actually have set this machine to boot off of the CD first. So you have to do that. You have to go into the BIOS and change that. But if you reference an older episode, we show you how to do that. Actually, in an older episode.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
look,
here we go. So we've got start or
Ubuntu.
install Ubuntu as an option here. So what I want you to do is I want you to choose that. Just hit enter. And it'll start loading the Linux kernel, as you see here. When you're starting them up, it gives you a whole pile of information like this about what it's doing, and it can be a little bit overwhelming.
Mounting root file system, moving mount point. What's moving mount points? That makes me afraid. Adding live CD user.
Yeah, you don't have to think about these things in general when you're doing it. It's just if you're a professional, you'll know what this means, and you'll be able to diagnose using this stuff. But in general, this is the same stuff that Windows does essentially when it's starting up the operating system. It just doesn't tell you any of this stuff.
Okay, setting up. Yeah, no, yes, you can actually set it in Windows. You can say, show me all the caca that comes up when you boot. But
Preparing restricted drivers.
oh, that makes me afraid. It's not very grandma friendly at all.
It's not grandma friendly, no.
Starting basic networking.
Okay, we're almost there. All right, so look at all this stuff. Now this stuff is the stuff you'll see whenever you're booting up Linux, and it's terrifying. If you're a new user, it's completely terrifying. IO port probe. Look at all these numbers here. O times
WLAN 0
AOO.
duplicate address detected.
Yes, so somebody upstairs is doing this as well. Biff is completely
see?
terrified.
Biff's got the duplicate address.
That's right.
So here, yeah, this is a part of the interesting part of a live CD. Is it actually is installing all of the things it needs into memory. You know, all of the hardware that's on there.
What do I need memory-wise? I mean, do I need like a gig, 2 gigs?
No, Linux is actually pretty lean. You can run versions of Linux on next to no hardware. You can run it on very old hardware most of the
that's true.
time. If you want to run all of the features of something like Ubuntu, you probably want to have a modern system and have at least 500 megs of RAM in there as well.
Oh, clickable. Oh, look at
So
that.
there you go. So now you've got the whole experience.
Fun? Mm-hmm. Look, Office. Open Office. Ooh.
Open Office. So yeah, as you've got everything you need to run now. So you can try before you buy, basically, even though you don't have to pay any money.
Fabulous. There you go. That's everything you need to know for now. What you and your grandma need to know for now about Ubuntu, Linux. And then that's the most popular distribution at the moment. That's the hot one, right?
That's one of the ones. Ubuntu is actually the GNOME desktop, and Kubuntu is the KDE one. So you have your choice which one you want to go
All right,
with.
there you go.
They're roughly the same, except slightly different.
All right, real quick, check out littlegeeks.org. That's the new charity I created, or the new nonprofit organization to give underprivileged kids free computers and a free internet. So check that out. And I guess that's it for us this week.
For this week, yes.
Happy New Year, by the way. Or not, depending on when we release this.
It's a mystery to me.
That's it. My name is Andy Walker,
I'm Sean Carruthers.
and we'll see you next time.
Are you ready? Try this at home.
We'll trim a couple of minutes of that out.
Sorry.
Preparing restricted drivers.
Oh, that makes me afraid. It's not very grandma-friendly at all.
It's not grandma friendly, no.
Starting basic networking.
Okay, we're almost there.
Okay. See, look.
Yeah, Biff is getting
It's like,
bored.
"Ah."
Can you stand straight? There you go. That's
Oh.
good.
Well,